Well, good afternoon to you, man. Top of the hour, 4 o'clock here on the West Coast, 7 o'clock back on the east side of town. Alan Michaels live in Las Vegas.
And I'm Scratching the K live from Daytona Beach, Florida.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Monday edition of On Pit Road Racing. And man, I'll tell you, not bad racing this weekend, Scratch. I mean, if you like bumper cars, they sort of really bumper card them up, buddy.
Man, I like bumper cars. And you know what I like the most is we finally have some racing, man. That's what's important. We finally have some racing in our life, and that's what we're here for, Alan, is the racing.
That's it, man. Hey, want to welcome everybody to our Monday edition here of On Pit Road Racing. We do it each and every Monday here from 4 to 5 o'clock. Scratch is live down at Daytona. Yours truly back here in Las Vegas. We do it from the WCOBM studios located at 450 Fremont Street in the heart of downtown Las Vegas, just on the other side of the Gene Woods Racing Experience. And then on the flip side of that is the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame. And real quickly, let me get this in here because this is always really important, man. And I got to get my ticker going right here, too. Okay. Right there, you see the tennis shoe. You see the ticker, man. This program brought to you by our good friends at the WCOBM. And we partner up with the friends at the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame. That's the World Wide Web at hotshoehof.com. I hold the sneaker right here in front of me. And if you'll log on to the site, you can hit the donate button and help us out. And you know what, Scratch? There was a guy that came out. I didn't know this. A guy that came to the show this year as part of the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame, a member and everything else. He's been inducted. I won't let the name out of the cat. But I told you last week, I got a delivery of 10 boxes of, 100 shoes in each box. This guy personally bought 1,000 pairs of tennis shoes for us to give away, man. 1,000 pairs of these.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable, man. So, hey, if you'd like to hit the donate button, because we got to get rid of some shoes now. I told Gene that the other day. I goes, man, load the van up. And he says, you know what? March sounds like a good day. Let's get out, get traveling, and get spring. So we're lining up some dates to get out. But if you want some more information about how you can help out, give us a ring at 702-803-0875. You can drop us a line here at onpitroadracing@gmail.com. Every dollar counts, man. Every bit of it goes straight for these nice little shoes. Scratch, what size do you wear, buddy?
I wear a 10.5, sir.
All right, man. I'll dig a pair of those. out there.
I got a medium foot.
Medium foot. I'm about 10.5 too. There you go.
I got a medium foot.
Hey, show partners, really quick. Gene Woods Racing Experience, World Wide Web at gokartslasvegas.com. The Woods Family Sandwiches, great catering for you. WFSandwiches.com. The Las Vegas Motor Speedway, our home track here. Scratch's home track is Daytona International. But here coming up March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, the Pennzoil 400 brought to you by Jiffy Lube. You need more ticket information, lvms.com for everything, camping, everything that you want to do out there, okay? Also, Red One Scooters, our scooter helper, man, for the pits to get us around out there at redone.com. And let's see, who else? Oh, Hammer and Harry's, man. Got to come out, Scratch. When you come out, we'll get us a cold beer, a sandwich, and a shot of ketchup.
I'm loving that. Every time you do that promo, I'm like, I'm going there with Alan Michaels right after I beat him again at Gene Woods Racing Go-Kart Track.
Oh, that's right. I forgot all about that. I owe you one, don't I? I owe you one. I think that's pretty much about it, man. I don't know. What's the weather like in Daytona today? I forgot to look up. What's it like in Daytona?
And it's beautiful today. It's about 60, and it looks like it's going to be it's a little over 60, to be honest with you. I'm going to look right now just to tell you for sure.
Well, I can tell you here in Las Vegas for the next 5 to 6 days, 65. It is cold, rainy, and I mean, it is just downpouring. Maybe a break coming up Friday, they say. And of course, the big game is here on Sunday. A big game. The Chiefs and the 49ers.
What game? The big game. I know. Yeah. I'm going to be, you want me to pick that game too? I know this is a racing show, but I'm going to, I don't know if I can pick the game, but I'm going to be rooting on the 49ers because of Tampa Bay Buccaneers legend John Lynch put that team together. So I'm going to root on the 49ers. And that's where I'm at. I think
it's bopping back and forth. It keeps going from like 1.5 to two back. The 49ers are favored. Last I saw, 1.5, 2 points. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to do the field here because all this rain, we got sort of like how it is in Arizona. They can open up the side. The college team here, UNLV, plays on a synthetic turf or that marbly stuff or whatever. Well, then they got a track system that rolls in natural turf. So no sunshine really this week. So I don't know about the grass. So I guess they'll make a decision. Can they save the turf and make it right to roll it in, or will they end up playing? That'd be a prop bet there. There it is. There's a prop. turf or marble stuff. You know what I mean?
I know you guys bet on everything out in Las Vegas. And when I
They
say
do.
you guys, I mean I put in my 8 years out in Las Vegas, and yeah, we'll bet on anything. I'll bet on
I was
anything.
there. I was walking across the street the other day. I saw one of the local casinos say they had the bets up for the Super Bowl, and they also said starting today, we're taking NASCAR bets. Bring it on, man.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yep, there you go.
Well, anyhow, man, racing action got back in action for us this past weekend at the third trip to the Coliseum. And I found out that, yes, NASCAR does take care of that. USC does get a new football field every year, courtesy of NASCAR. Thank you very much, everybody. But anyhow, the Clash Showdown out there, man. What did you think? What did you said that you got I missed it because Fox decided at the last minute that they're going to shift it over to Fox Sports 1 to show Fox showed the Iowa Maryland basketball game. But that kid that they got out there, she is just something else. She's tearing it up. I understand that, but so we listened to it on MRN. So what did you think?
Well, I didn't get to watch it live. I didn't get to listen to it because I had already had plans. And so by the time you know, I'll get into changing it to the day before, which all the drivers seem to love. But I mean, it made it difficult for some of us because I am a person that if I'm not watching the race live, and I know who won already, I'm not. You know, it's hard to watch and root on anything to happen at all when you already know who won. But I watched the replay yesterday, and I did find it very entertaining, to be honest with you. But like you said, bumper cars. There was bumper. It was, you know, but I said that before we went into the Clash of the Coliseum, man. If you know, you're only going to get around people if you bump them. I know in the late, some of the late laps of the races when I was watching, they all went in the corner, and the top 5 cars hit each other when they went in the corner. Yeah. like all 5 of them just at one time they all hit each other.
A quarter mile, you got a quarter mile asphalt. You got a quarter mile asphalt track inside a football stadium. It's got basically 2 lanes to it, and that's it. You couldn't expect. I mean, I saw some of the comments, and we'll get into this in a minute. Some of the comments that came back. I mean, Joe Logano was all mad at Ty Gibbs, and you did this, and you did that, and Busher and this, and Bubba and that, and blah, blah, blah. Well, what did you expect was going to happen when you put, 23, 24 cars out on a quarter mile short track with 2 lanes? I mean, it was going to be nothing. I mean, the cars, if your car went back to Charlotte, Mooresville, Concord, wherever, and if it only just had a few donut marks on it or a little bump here, a little bump there, you were lucky. You probably
were trying to win the race if you went home with a clean car or something with a couple little bumps on it. Because I'm telling you right now, those guys were pushing each other around. But you have to when you're racing in like a bathtub. You know what I'm saying? When you have 23 cars in a bathtub, you're going to hit each other.
That's it. Denny Hamlin took the pole. Any surprises out of that at the Joe Gibbs machine? I mean, Gibbs.
It being a Joe Gibbs machine, no. No. I would say there's wasn't a surprise there for the most part. The fact that he held on him, won from the pole, even though, it's not like he took off and led the whole entire race. I mean, he did. I forget how many laps he led. It was a lot, though.
Yeah, well, he led it. Then Joe Logano in the 22 Pennzoil on the Ford on the outside actually took the lead and led it. But once Denny Hamlin got control, I mean, it was all down. I mean, he really went first big thing. But then Joey comes back. Joey came back about lap 57 to take it back. And then because Hamlin slipped, I heard something with the brakes or something on Hamlin's car. I don't know if they got overheated or too much dust on him, but I couldn't get it slowed down. And by the end of the race, if you caught the end of it, did you see Hamlin was wheel hopping? The thing was just about, so they were locking him up, sliding him into the corner. I mean, smoke and dust flying every which way, man. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of smoke. There was a lot of locking them up in them turns. They were driving the hell out of them cars the last few laps for sure. I enjoyed it. Do you remember who I picked on Friday to win it?
I picked Josh Berry, and he didn't even make the field. He didn't get in on time.
Make the field, right? We'll talk about that, I'm sure, in a second. But I picked Ryan Blaney.
Yeah,
he finished third.
But you know what the greatest thing about this is? First of all, Blaney had to take a provisional to get in because his car wasn't even fast enough to make time. So he started dead last, man.
He had the 25th quickest time in the final practice. Ryan Blaney had the 25th quickest time in the final practice. So yeah, I just read that he had to take the provisional there. But yeah, right. But he finished third.
I think if there would have been another 20-25 laps, I think if it would have been another 20-25 laps, it would have came down to Kyle Busch. It would have came down to Kyle Busch and Blaney. I think it would have been I think everything would have got shuffled out. I think everything would have got, if there would have been a few more laps, because Blaney's car was starting to come. And I noticed that, not to cut us off of this. Did you notice, though, if you watch a lot of it towards the end of the season, especially in the playoffs, Blaney's car towards the end of the year, it held itself. It had a good qualified, maybe a mid-sized qualifying, held in through the first stop or two. But by the time we got to it, it seemed like that Ford just kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger every week towards the end of the races.
Well, yeah, and I think that's something we're going to look for throughout the season, too. You know, some of these teams, I mean, like, let's go back to Josh Berry for a second.
Okay.
You know, we all, just because we all have been talking, you and I have been talking, and we I think are in agreement. We expect big things out of Josh Berry, right?
I think Josh, he's going to have well, technically it is a full rookie season for him. So he'll get a yellow stripe this year. He'll get a yellow stripe, but he's at Stewart-Haas. He's going to have good equipment behind him. Okay. The car, so he's going into Harvick's old car in the 4, right? So he's going into that because Noah's going into Eric Almirola's old car, the number 10. He's got good equipment behind him. He's got a little bit of experience because he did some time with Hendrick last year, subbing in when the accidents with Chase Elliott and then Alex Bowman too, getting banged up. So he's got some time there. So he's gonna take a little beat and banging, but I think a good serious thing for him, top 10 finish throughout the entire year. If he happens to make the playoffs, that would be just absolutely fantastic his rookie year. And I think that would top 10 throughout the year would be a total finish. He's within the top 10 his rookie year. Stewart-Haas coming back. I think that would be a good thing. If he makes the playoffs, of course, all it takes is a win. All it takes is a win to get in. So that would be a major achievement.
And I believe that he's very capable of winning a race. Whether or not we see a consistency of Josh Berry throughout the year, well, time will only tell. But a win in the 4 car for Josh Berry is very, very possible. I've noticed too, just reading online and things like that, that some of the, some people have been, they're going to judge his whole year on the fact that he didn't make a race that doesn't matter.
Yeah, let's face it. You and I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, right. I'm just saying that they're judging. There's people online, whatever. You read people's comments and things like that. There's just a lot of people judging him on not making a race that doesn't even matter. So you know what, if you are somebody that's going, man, Josh Berry in the 4, his first race with the 4 team, and he didn't even make the race, and if you're worried about, if you think that's anything that's going to show what he's going to be doing this year, I would say you're absolutely wrong. He just didn't make this race.
Yeah, it's just,
and who
That
cares?
was a show. They only 20. Yeah, 23 cars, 23, 24 cars get into it. They sent a full field of 36, so that all the charter teams went. Okay, so out of that, we already discussed 13 weren't going to make it. So yeah, you can't hold up. I'm not gonna hold anything to the Clash for Josh Berry because Josh Berry did not make the show on time. He didn't have a provisional. He's a rookie, so I'm not even that. The season starts when they get to you in 2 weeks. That's when the season starts, and that's when it becomes real.
That's when it's real. Okay. Yes. Sunday, the Daytona 500. That is when it's real. I will say this too, though. You remember we were talking Friday too. I said out of those 13, there's going to be some guys that don't make it that probably should, and there's going to be some guys that make it that probably shouldn't. And that's exactly how it went down. Looks like to me. I mean, there's other. Buscher didn't make it. Who else didn't make it? I just had that right in front of me too, just a second ago.
Well, let me see. I had those pulled up. I did have that pulled
up. But Buscher didn't make it. He was one of them didn't make it.
Well, there's a
Yeah.
couple. Todd Gilliland made Chase Elliott, who ended up finishing 22nd. But there's a couple. Corey LaJoie made it. Michael McDowell made the show. Justin
Right.
Haley made the show. Got in. John Hunter Nemechek for Legacy Motor Club, so he made the show. Ryan Priest made it. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm trying to think of Chase Briscoe. So pretty every car from Stuart Haas made it except Josh Barrett. Yeah. They all made it. Yeah. So Briscoe made it. So Briscoe made it. Ryan Priest made it. And Noah Gragson made it. So out of those 4 cars, those 3. But yeah, there's a lot of people who didn't hit the show right. I mean,
Hey, and we talk about that. We talk about that for the regular season stuff too. And that is, hey man, if you don't make it, you don't make it.
Hey, that's it.
You know what I mean?
Like, I guess lucky for this one here. Well, still, whoever money's on the car, they got to answer for. That's why I wish they get the car count. I wish they get the car count up.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought overall it was a good show. It was racing, but I thought more of a show. It was beating and banging, and of course, I'm going to tell you that's what I like. And when I went to short track racing when I was back east in Martinsville, Bristol, Richmond. That's what I went there to see. I wanted to see the fender get laid to somebody. When I went to local short track racing here at the Bull Ring or whatever down in New Smyrna, I want to see the fender get laid to him, man.
Yeah, well, like I told you before, I'd rather you not wreck somebody at a track and try to kill them, a Daytona in the wrong spot or, some stuff like that. But yeah, if I go to a race, especially a short track race, and they don't wreck at least once, that race is boring to me, and I don't wish wrecks or crashes or, costing people money on anything. But, we know what we are as race fans, and that's what we are. We're there for the excitement. We're there for the drivers on the edge. We're there for all of that, man. These guys are the best in the world, man. And I love watching them go fast.
Yeah, that's it. And controlling and everything else that they have to do, their minds and everything that it has to go to. I mean, you talk to a driver, but hey, listen, let's take a quick break here. We're rolling about 18 minutes after the hour. It's the Monday edition of On Pit Road Racing now and here in Las Vegas, scratch down in Daytona Beach. We'll take us a quick break. We'll come back, talk a little bit more about the Clash, the Daytona 500 coming up. Scratch less than 2 weeks away, man, and we'll be partying down in your area, man.
Yeah, we sure will be. That's a tiki bar.
That's a tiki bar. More with Scratch and myself right after this. You're watching On Pit Road Racing's Monday edition right here on the WCOBM, everybody.
Las Vegas, Nevada, where everything seems to move a little bit faster.
Like a lot faster. Like 200 miles an hour faster. It's more than a race. It's full throttle insanity. The drivers aren't the only ones on the joyride.
Family, friends, and unforgettable moments. I'm talking full throttle mayhem. I'm talking NASCAR in Vegas. What could go wrong?
Are you ready for the wildest ride on Fremont Street? The Gene Woods Racing Indoor Go-Kart Track Experience. 450 Fremont Street, suite number 171 on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Fremont Street. Open 7 days a week, noon until midnight. Strap yourself in, pull your safety belts tight, and feel the power and the speed at the Gene Woods Racing Indoor Go-Kart Track Experience, downtown Las Vegas, Fremont Street, 450 Fremont Street, suite number 171, right on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Fremont Street. What are you waiting for? Log on, get your tickets now. It's time to go racing at the Gene Woods Racing Indoor Go-Kart Track Experience, 450 Fremont Street, downtown Las Vegas.
Jerry B here up in Sacramento, Union Gospel Mission, giving out some shoes to the homeless. Here, a lot of smiling faces. We got one deal. We give you a pair of shoes. You got to give us a smirk and a photo. And this is the mission of the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame, which is a non-profit organization based out of Las Vegas, started by Gene Woods. We're trying to do good things and fill little holes in people's lives the best we can. And today we're up in Sacramento, just doing the best we can. Thanks for supporting us.
Jerry B out on the road back to Sacramento, California, man. It's another thing. These guys,
Man, I need to come out and see you.
Man, I'm upset about this whole thing with Sacramento. They have decided there will be no more motorcycle racing. There will be no more any racing in Sacramento.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that.
Well, like yeah, now I do remember this because I did say this. Whoever's taking care of the books up there in Sacramento, not this end of this year, but next year when they start figuring out the finances and everything else, and when they see that nice big lunk of money gone, that's the reason why you took the racing out, guys.
Yeah, man. A place without racing is no place for me. Hey, you know what I noticed? Oh, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. That's all right.
I was just going to say, I noticed just during the break right there that the News Journal, the Daytona Beach News Journal here in my hometown, they have a headline out today and a poll that says, should NASCAR move the Clash at the Coliseum back to Daytona or should it stay in LA? And then it says vote. So you can go to the News Journal online and vote for that. I'm going to tell you right now, I think it's funny that the Daytona Beach News Journal put that out there because I'm pretty sure most of the people that read that are going to say, what do you think? Bring it back here. But the reason, of course we do. We want it back here. But I'm gonna ask you an opinion on something. All right.
Okay.
Because I know the drivers loved it. Okay. But again, some of the feedback I've read, people like you and me, not in saying you and me, but people like you and me, didn't like that they moved it up to the day before. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. It is a little awkward. You know, it's one thing to cancel a race, and I'm saying this as a fan and as a viewer. It's one thing to cancel a race, and it be tomorrow. You know why? Because you and I can make plans that we had for today and go tomorrow. Isn't it kind of hard to go, hey, man, we're doing that thing today, not tomorrow? So if you were coming tomorrow, you got to cancel everything you're doing today or whatever, and come to it now. I mean, I heard there was like free tickets for the day they moved it to.
Well, I mean, I understood the reason why they did it because if they'd ran it on the day that they said it would have been washed out. And I saw this and
I agree with that.
They had 2 days that they could lay over, but the problem of it was the 2 days following was going to be nothing but rain and soggy too.
I agree.
I mean,
I agree with that part of it. I know why they did it. I agree. Okay. You can't be out in California. You're going to like where I'm going with this here in a second. Yeah, I agree that in this case, you have to move the Clash to the day before or risk being in LA all the way up until Thursday or Wednesday or whenever it stops raining and try to run this thing. Am I right so far?
So far.
Okay. So if the thing was in Daytona and ran when it was supposed to run in Daytona during speed weeks, we're all going to be here anyway.
Correct.
Okay. So when the ARCA and the Clash together gets rained out, right?
Right.
Then we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We have that. We have those days here because we are already here for all the racing going on at the end of the week. So there's my case for bringing the Clash back to Daytona right there. You don't have to move it the day before and confuse everybody and throw a lot of people off and do all that other stuff. If you just bring it back to where it belongs, right here in Daytona, because we're going to be here all week anyway.
Well, you know what? Diane said this yesterday or on Saturday. She goes, hey, she goes, I don't understand why they just couldn't have moved it to another track. Why couldn't they have sent it everything down to Daytona? And I said, here's the logistics of it. Everything that was sent out there was a short track car. So, yes. I mean, okay. So, and you're not going to take a short track car to Talladega, Daytona, Michigan, or someplace like that. Because no, that's just not going to work. So they just didn't have time to prepare to bring everybody. Got to remember this thing. I saw it was 2,835 miles. 2,835 miles from most of the shops in Concord, Kannapolis, Charlotte area out to the Coliseum. So then you got to truck it all back too. And while those people are out there, everybody back at the shops all working Daytona stuff. They're all every check and got every bolt. Is this the car we want to take? Is this that? Is it, everything? We got everything ready to go to Daytona. So I mean, I agree with you. I just think,
I mean, like I see both sides of it. I'm cool, I'm cool with it being at the Coliseum in a way, and I was cool with them moving it to the day before. I understand. Look, they got a pretty good race in for us that got to watch it, listen to it, whatever. They got a pretty good race in. I just think that when did they made this change earlier in the day, of course, but the day of, that's a tricky time to be like, hey, we're going to do this thing now. Come on. We're going to do it now. We're not going to do it tomorrow.
I mean, I agree. They knew the weather was coming, but I mean, everybody's going to try to hold out to the last second. So I guess that's where they played this at. I mean, it wouldn't have ran if
they do the same thing during rain delays at Daytona when they go to cancel. They'll wait till the last second, man. I can't tell you how many hours I've sat in the pouring down rain in the infield before all of a sudden finally they're like, all right, man, we ain't going to get it in today. It's tomorrow.
Sorry.
I've been to a few Monday Daytona 500s, and they're pretty fun. There's not a lot of people there, but they're fun.
Last time we were down there, Diane and I went down, we went to the Xfinity race. And it happened. The same thing happened to us. I mean, we sit there and they got it started. Then all of a sudden the cell came in and it poured and poured and poured. And we waited. And of course, lightning came. So they put up on their big jumbo scrunch for everybody to get out of the stands to take shelter. We waited. We ate hamburgers and hot dogs and drank beers and ate more stuff and drank more beers. And then we got back into the stands. They got them loose. And then all of a sudden I think they ran maybe 10 laps or so. Then all of a sudden the cell came back in again. It lasted an hour, and then NASCAR came up and said it's not going to happen. We'll run it at the end of the Cup race of due to weather time. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to do what they had to do with it because everybody was there anyhow. So I mean, but I agree with you.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I agree that they did the right thing.
Right,
100% with that situation. All right, that 100%. I agree that they did the right thing. It just when you move it up on the same day versus having a whole entire speed weeks,
right?
Then that's what's different. It's a standalone show now, so you have to do what you did this weekend. If it wasn't a standalone show like it used to be with Daytona with us here at Daytona International Speedway, then you would have those days and you wouldn't be across the country and all that other stuff. So
let me ask you this.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't see the TV. I caught the radio. When you looked at the playback on it, what did the crowds look like there? Did they have a good crowd? I never saw I never saw the TV or the playback on the TV, so I don't know. What did the crowd look like?
It didn't look. I didn't get a good shot of the crowd, but I told you on Friday that it always seems like it's kind of empty there. But it's because it's a big place for one. So I'm going to go. I mean, there was people there. There were people there. It just didn't look like the first two there, though. It didn't look like the first two.
I thought it was pretty strange, too, that NASCAR pulled the plug. Then nobody can come and watch qualifying and heat races. I mean, didn't you lose some income and money on that? I mean, because the Clash itself, what time? I was trying to I was trying to think if I had the as far as the time of it went. I mean, the segments weren't, I mean, 75 laps on a quarter-mile track doesn't take long to get, okay? Then they break for 10 minutes. All they could do is change no fuel. They couldn't add fuel. They could change tires, and that's it. Make an adjustment, but that's all they could do to that. But the whole thing didn't even last 2 hours. I mean, and you think,
I'd imagine they lost a bunch of money on this particular Clash as a whole. I would imagine. I
just didn't understand if you're going to run a 2-day event like that, and really when it comes down to it, you're going to see more racing in the practice sessions, the practice sessions, heats, and qualifying. I mean, you're going to see more racing than what you're going to see out of the 23 drivers that hit the track for the Clash. I don't know. I just think NASCAR took a bullet on that. I think NASCAR took a bullet. And did they have to really run it over 2 days? I mean, why don't you just make it a whole day event? And you have a whole day event. It's in Los Angeles. It's at the Coliseum. And NASCAR throws the big. If you're going to throw the big show, and listen, we all know that they can do that. I mean, they can bring in all the stuff. They do it out here. You got the swimming pool. You know, they bring the swimming pool and the Ferris wheels and all that stuff out here to do that. Why don't you do something like that there and make it a whole big day event? Big day event to where, okay, so the heat racing, you get to see heat racing, you get to see practice, you get to see heat racing. Then by the time it gets to the evening, then you get to see the Clash. I mean,
I like the Coliseum, so I mean, I would like to see the Clash come back to Daytona, and then why don't they just add another all-star type race or a Clash type race? We only have 2 of them, you know. They keep moving. I tried to add this, move this, do that, do that. They want to do something at the Coliseum. Add a third little, you know. I mean, I know it's a money thing or whatever. You know, you got 2 all-star type races, and you're gonna probably keep it that way. But I mean, again, at the same time, though, if you move the Clash back to Daytona, if you guys are just gonna follow each other, nobody wants to see that either. So, you know,
well,
you guys just gonna follow each other around. Nobody really wants to see that either. But you got to get back to you're going to bring a car you really don't care about, and you're going to give it everything it's got, you know, kind of like, I mean, I'm sure they went, I'm sure most of those cars from the Clash went home beat up.
Oh yeah, To survive with just a couple of donuters and a punched in here or a punched in there, you got lucky. And depending, and usually the Clash, they know it's going to get torn. Here's something else I sort of thought about the other day ago when I was thinking about this. Did they move it out of Daytona and put it on a small track because maybe they were thinking, you know, this is leading into Speed Weeks, the big race, the big money, the kickoff of the season. Maybe they were thinking about somebody getting hurt. I mean, come on, you guys are flying down there. You know, whether you're putting 40 cars on the track or 23 cars on the track, I mean, you're still hauling rear at 200 mile an hour plus around Daytona International Speedway. Okay,
for sure. I would imagine that the Coliseum's a little safer than Daytona.
Oh yeah,
I would imagine. I would also imagine probably that the cars are a little cheaper than the ones they built for Daytona. But I mean, you're going across the country, so where's the cost saved? Is the, you know,
hey, you got to look. Yeah, you got to look at what a cost of a gallon of diesel fuel is. You're taking people out there. I guess hotel rooms and this and that. You're only there for a couple of days, so it's just basically the transport. You're still doing the laundry. Everybody's dressed in the fire suits. Everything's all laid out. So you got an expense to go out there to basically tear something up, because that's what it is. I mean, it's bumper cars. It's a show. It's a show, and I enjoyed listening to the MRN guys because they really did call a good show. They called a great show on Saturday night. Fantastic.
Nothing like listening to races on the radio. Same goes with football games. You know, when you can't see anything, you can just imagine it, and it's usually people like yourself that sells it to us. You know, it's great. I mean, you're one of the best at it, talking racing and doing. I've heard you do the commentating for racing before. And, you're great at it.
You know, but thank you very much. But you know, at that track, it's a lot different when you're going to Daytona, you're going to Charlotte, even if you're going to Martinsville or Bristol, okay? Because, I mean, a quarter-mile track, they're moving so fast. I mean, like, they go to Daytona, who's ever calling the front, you know, who's ever up in the booth calling, and they send it down to turn 1, you know, and the guy that picks the action up there, he's got a little bit of time. You know, there's no time at that thing. There's no time. I mean, it's Logano in the lead, Hamlin in second. Here comes Kyle Busch, and then you got and within a straightaway, all holy hell can break loose. I mean, that's in any track, but when you get into that thing, those guys at MRN, I tip my hat to you guys, because you called one heck of an event Saturday night. One heck of an event,
for sure.
Yeah. For sure. Hey, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, because you were talking about the MRN and the commentating and all of those stuff, and we had talked about Kevin Harvick previously on Friday, and you were like, I hope they just let him be him or whatever. I'm going to tell you right now, I enjoyed him. I enjoyed him and Clint in there together with Mike Joy. I thought they were great. I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops into, and seeing more of that and hearing more of that, because I believe that Kevin Harvick's going to be awesome at it. And one of the funniest things or one of the things I enjoyed that I picked up on at the end of the race that he said was, they asked him what the difference was between being up there and being down there or whatever. He goes, when this race is over and I take these headphones on, I can go home knowing nobody's mad at me.
Did they let him be? Did they let him be like he naturally? Because I've seen him do stuff before, Xfinity and truck where he set in and he was very, very good. And I think
him and Clint are very comfortable together.
You think this is going to work out pretty cool?
I think so. I think him and Clint are very comfortable together. With Mike Joy is Mike Joy, but
right.
I think the personalities that you worry about whether they're going to clash or get along or it's going to be good or bad or whatever. Clint and Kevin, man, they're gonna. I'm as excited about seeing them two together as I am watching racing, to be honest with you.
This ought to be good because I like them both, and I told you the story. I told you the story about Clint and everything else because he's just a natural Missouri Midwest guy, and we were down there, and he's like, "God, I can't wait to get out of this monkey suit and just drink a cold beer and relax." Then we all walked in together after the show for the NASCAR Awards. We all walked in together. It was pretty strange how it all worked out. Well, I'm glad that they did. I like when they bring athletes in and let them commentate because they're not play-by-play people. They're commentators. Right. And let them commentate about what they saw on the track. Don't try to make them broadcasters. If that's the case, then send them to broadcasting school or, get them a college or wherever and let them do that. But let them just be who they naturally that's what I like about Dale Jr.
You're hiring Kevin Harvick because you want Kevin Harvick.
Right.
Just like with Fox Sports for football, you're hiring Tom Brady because you want Tom Brady.
Right.
You know what I mean? You want these guys because of who they are. So don't bring them in and try to change them into something they're not. Let them be. I agree with you 100%. I like Kevin Harvick. Don't put him in a booth and make him somebody that I'm like, oh, well, that's not Kevin Harvick. I don't know who the hell that guy is.
Sort of the guy like trying to be the old AM radio type of thing. It's sunny skies, 80 degrees.
5 degrees.
Let that's what I like about Dale Jr. They let Dale Jr. be him. And I
was a big fan of Paul Harvey, by the way.
Oh, yes. I did like Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey was awesome.
And the rest of the story. Anyhow, they let Junior be Junior. And that's what I like about him. And I think that's what makes him fresh. I think that's what people like about him. And he's still got that North Carolina. He's still got that Southern Belt sound to him. And he says things the way in the general point, maybe people say he said it wrong, but that's the way people talk in the South and the way he does things. And that's what makes him,
same thing with Dale Jr. They hired Dale Jr.
Yeah, they want Dale Jr. I love watching his podcast. I think Dirty Mo TV, I think he is funny. I think some of the stuff that comes out is just off the hook. I think he's prepared. I think he studies and works with his guests, but I think it pops in his mind and he lets it roll. And I think that's what's good about him. And I'm glad that you said that about Kevin Harvick, man. That's cool.
And I think we get the same Dale Jr. on NBC that we get on his podcast. You get the fact, it's clean, it's a little cleaner, but at the same time, I think you get that same Dale Jr., which is Dale Jr. That's who he is.
That's it. One quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about the ending because some tempers were flying. Did you get to? I saw some of the YouTube stuff and some of this stuff was pretty funny. Ty Gibbs and Logano. We'll talk all about that as we head down the final part of On Pit Road Racing's Monday edition right here with Alan down here in Las Vegas, scratching Daytona Beach. And we'll be back with more right after this, everybody.
Welcome to my world. Handicap man, down at a charity feed. Great spread this morning. God, it was horrible. But it made what I needed to happen. Then I had these people that stopped and said, "Hey, you want some shoes?" I said, "Yeah, I was going to need to get some anyway. So might as well." And if it really comes to fruition, help them buy more shoes so that we can help more people. I'm not we, but you know what I mean. Hell, might as well. There's nothing wrong with helping someone.
Are you ready for the wildest ride on Fremont Street? The Gene Woods Racing Indoor Go-Kart Track Experience. 450 Fremont Street, suite number 171 on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Fremont Street. Open 7 days a week, noon until midnight. Strap yourself in, pull your safety belts tight, and feel the power and the speed at the Gene Woods Racing Indoor Go-Kart Track Experience, downtown Las Vegas, Fremont Street, 450 Fremont Street, suite number 171, right on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Fremont Street. What are you waiting for? Log on, get your tickets now. It's time to go racing at the Gene Woods Racing Indoor Go-Kart Track Experience, 450 Fremont Street, downtown Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, Nevada, where everything seems to move a little bit faster.
Like a lot faster. Like 200 miles an hour faster. It's more than a race. It's full throttle insanity. The drivers aren't the only ones on a joyride.
Family, friends, and unforgettable moments. I'm talking full throttle mayhem. I'm talking NASCAR in Vegas. What could go wrong?
I don't know. After the Clash, by the time they get to Vegas, it could get crazy. By the time they leave Daytona, it could get real crazy. On their way to Atlanta right after that. Yeah, I just checked out a couple of things here, Scratch. Of course, we already know Denny Hamlin won the thing, man. He took the lead from Ty Gibbs with 8 laps remaining for the Busch Light Clash. And he won it with a checkered flag. Kyle Busch finished up in second. Ryan Blaney, who started dead last, like you said, had to take a provisional, get into his show. Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, Brad Kay, Martin Truex Jr., and William Byron. 7 lead changes, Scratch. 4 drivers, 8 cautions. You know what the average speed of the race was, man?
No, I don't.
Are you ready for this one? Are you ready for this? Your average speed was 32.937 miles per hour, man.
That's
cooking around a quarter mile, ain't it?
Wow. I go faster than that in my neighborhood.
I mean, I was just sitting here in this segment before saying how great the guys at MRN were and everything else, which they were. And I'm not taking it, but then I looked at this and I was just pulling up a couple of facts before we got down this.
They made it sound like they were going fast, didn't they?
I mean, I thought they were flying to Daytona, man, going into turn 1 at 200, you know?
Yeah, well.
32 point. That can't be right. Well, I
you
don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, the caution laps don't count.
Well, I know no, they didn't have any caution laps. They
right,
did have
the caution laps don't count, which would factor into the race.
Well, I guess that would too. God,
but they didn't have caution. They didn't count caution laps.
They count caution laps to it. Oh, that's just unbelievable. That's just when I pulled that up, I just about that. Yeah, 7 lead changes among 4 drivers.
What do you think about Denny Hamlin always saying, "Man, I just beat your favorite driver"? What do you think about that?
Somebody asked me about that this morning. I was talking to him back east, and they go, "Who was he talking about?" And I go, "Well, Jamie Little was talking to him, but I've never heard who. I don't know if Jamie. I don't know if they were talking about.
I've heard him say that before, but I've heard him say it before. That's not the first time he said it, because he just said what he said at the end of the Clash was, "I just beat your favorite driver again."
Okay.
So what happened was, I don't remember. I wish I remembered. I don't remember what race it was, but there was a race later in the season, all right, where they were booing him because, now everybody boos Denny Hamlin. So
he's got to stop whining. He said that's what he's got to do. He's got to quit whining.
Well, that's why everybody's booing him. They were booing him at the Clash too.
Yeah.
But that's which is what made him say that. But that's what made him say it the first time. They were booing the hell out of him at one of the races at the end of the year or whatever, and he said, "I just beat your favorite driver." He goes, "Man, I just beat your favorite driver." While they were booing him, which obviously made him more of a, jerk. But But the first thing I thought when I heard him say it yesterday, because I watched the replay yesterday, I was like, oh man, what a jerk. I mean, but that's, he's embracing the villain role, right? But then I thought about it and I was like, you know what though? You might have beat my favorite driver today, but you know the one thing my favorite driver, your teammate, did that you haven't done yet? He won a championship. Now go on with that crap.
That's it. Yeah, you know what? If he doesn't win it this
Go
year,
on, Denny Hamlin.
See, I always thought that, but see, FedEx came back on board and signed another multi-year agreement to stay with him. So I was thinking, man, if he doesn't win it this year, he's out. I mean,
I'm gonna boo him at the Daytona 500.
Are you completely?
Just for the record, and
Just for the record.
and the dual races, and I don't care, whatever he does, I'm gonna boo him in Daytona. I'll speak up for everyone.
He doesn't. I've never heard him. He doesn't do a lot of personal appearance stuff.
No,
really.
I don't. He's not very personable, obviously.
I guess with FedEx, he's sort of FedEx. What are you going to do? Like sort of like when UPS did with Dale Jarrett, let him drive the truck. You going to let Denny fly the plane, man?
I don't know.
I guess you can take him into sports clip. Because you can take him into sports clip and trim him up a little bit. I mean,
well, you could do that. Yeah, I don't know. He just, like I said, they started, once everybody started hating on him, then he just started embracing it, which is fine. We need villains. And it seems like, I hate saying this too, but it seems like Kyle Busch is becoming less of a villain these days and more of a hero for Richard Childress, at least. But he just seems to be, people hate him less now than they used to. Kyle Busch. I'm one of them. I'm not saying I'm a Kyle Busch fan, but I'm saying that I don't totally despise him like I used to. And it really has to do with Richard Childress, I would imagine. So, but we got to have bad people. I mean, like the Joey Logano's and the Denny Hamlins of the world. I mean, those guys, I'm not, they're great racers. I'm just not fans of theirs.
I saw some post-race stuff and you mentioned Joey Logano. I mean, Joey, it's a show. And I mean, he's going over and he's flapping his jaws at Ty Gibbs, and I'm waiting for you, and I remember this, and I'm going to remember that. What are you going to remember?
Ty Gibbs really was the guy who probably should have won that, by the way.
I thought he had the strongest car. I really think Ty Gibbs had the strongest. From what I was listening to and everything else, I really thought Ty Gibbs had the strongest car.
Yeah, I feel like he's the guy that probably should have won it, in hindsight of watching it and everything, man. That kid can drive. People don't like him either.
I want to take that back. He had a great winning car. The strongest car on the field was the 12 of Ryan Blaney. If you start dead last and end up in the top five, end up in the top five quarter mile. And on a quarter mile racetrack, Ryan Blaney had the strongest car of the night. And if he had 20 more laps, I think he'd have beat them all.
I think it's funny that you and I do this show and you pick Josh Berry, who didn't make it. I picked Ryan Blaney, who had to use a provisional to start last. You know what I mean? You would think that but Blaney saved me a little bit. He finished third, so I look like maybe I know what I'm talking about sometimes.
It was technically besides Hamlin, Kyle Busch had a good run. He was in and out. And once he got down, when it got down to about 20 to go, Kyle Busch moved Gibbs up out of the way.
They were trying to move. Everybody was trying to move everybody out of the way at that point. I mean, you could have came from seventh to first just like that in the way they were doing stuff. I mean, look, Ty Gibbs went from first to 12th. Yeah, within no time, because he got spun out.
Within 20 laps, within 25 laps, Hamlin went from first to seventh. I mean, bang. And I mean, he went from first to seventh now. I mean, so I don't.
They were definitely able to move around a little more. It wasn't like they were, it wasn't like they were following each other around in this little circle here. They were able to move around a little bit. Of course, again, most of it was done by moving people around, but hey, man, it made for interesting. It's an interesting race because it's just so small. The track is so small. It just makes it interesting.
It'd be interesting to see if it was really a points race. Then
how they would treat it. How they would treat it.
How would they have treated it if it was a points race? This was just out there to have fun. Let's show NASCAR in LA.
Long, right?
Yeah, and that whole thing and everything else. Okay. But yeah, if it
I
was
would imagine they would drive different. Yeah, if it was a points race, I think they would drive different.
I think we would have seen some. Anyway. I think we might have seen some back in my neck of the woods in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I think we'd have seen maybe a little pit action from Bowman Gray Stadium, and down in your area at New Smyrna, I think there would have been some more racing action back in the pits after this if this would have been a point race down there. I don't think Joey would have been as nice to Ty Gibbs, and I definitely with the whole
Cascade spun somebody out at the end of the race. I don't remember who it was though. I don't remember who it was. I heard it, and then but I was in the middle of making.
Well, Justin Haley got turned, and Justin Haley got turned at 137. At 140, Chastain spins Michael McDonald out in turn 3. Okay, so I mean, there's where you're at with that. My little giggler here locked up on me, I guess. But anyhow, I mean, yeah, it got down to the point, and it was beating and banging all night long. So it's all said and done. So they're all going to go home either happy or mad. And, you know, all I can remember is seeing Logano shaking his finger at him going, I'll remember. And Diane looked at me and she goes, you don't think he'll go after him at Daytona, do you? And I go, no, that'd be real stupid to do that down there.
No, sometimes you have to rate a couple races. I mean, even Atlanta's fast enough that it's scary. You know, even Atlanta Motor Speedway is fast enough that's a scary wreck when you wreck out there. But yeah, you know, who knows though? Joey Logano though, I mean, he might. You know, there's a lot of people don't like him much either. You know, he'll drive you tough. He'll drive you hard. He'll make stupid mistakes along the way as well. Like, I mean, it's hard to be perfect out there. If we were all perfect, we probably wouldn't even be here.
Reminds me of the quote of New Hampshire about 8 years or so ago, right before Tony Stewart retired, and Logano was pretty new into the series, maybe a year or two into it, and he chopped Tony's front end off, and it was Dave Burns coming down the backside with Tony Stewart, and he just looks at him and he goes, I'll leave all, but you know how Tony is. Tony goes, well, you know what's coming, whooping.
One of my favorite things, aside from the fight we talked about in '79 Daytona 500, one of my favorite things was Kevin Harvick jumping on Ricky Rudd's hood back in the day. Oh man, you remember that? Do you remember that race? It was like his first season, I think, wasn't it?
Robbie Gordon. I remember Robbie Gordon chucking a helmet. Who was it? He chucked it at Alan Kowicki, or was it Alan Kowicki chucked the helmet, or oh my goodness, now God, it was so long ago. But yeah, crazy stuff. I mean,
there's been a lot of helmets chucked throughout the days.
I remember being at Charlotte one year, and Jeff Gordon ended up and this is, of course, this was the year they turned it to the Coca-Cola 600.
Yeah.
Okay. And everybody that came in got a free bottle of Coke. Everybody.
Nice.
They got a free bottle of Coke.
Nice.
And they did this big thing where they dropped bottles out of the sky, out of a chopper and stuff, and that sort of disaster, but there were prizes in it. But the point I'm getting to is, at that point, Jeff Gordon is sponsored by Pepsi, okay?
Yeah.
He inches Earnhardt out for the win.
Yeah.
And so Gordon comes, swings the car back around and does the burnout, man. Does a burnout down the front, then swings it back around. As soon as he swings it back around, sort of coming out of turn 4, that tri-oval piece right there. Boy, they started chucking they chucked the Coca-Cola bottles at him. I mean, there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bottles being chucked. They were chucking them so hard that they had to pull Gordon over to the far side to get him up out of the car. Because to do a TV interview, and they couldn't because the bottles were flying. But I've seen some stuff chucked in my life, but I've never seen to the point, because that's Earnhardt. That's Earnhardt land right there. That's his land. And he just and the little kid from wherever, from California, Indiana, coming in with that funky little mustache he had back in that day and beating Earnhardt at his home track. Oh,
it's so funny. He looked like a kid with a mustache.
I saw Ty Gibbs. And you said this the other day, and I did really realize I saw him at the track here last year, and he came in to do an interview, but they sent him down, and as soon as it was over with, he boogied. But he is race car drivers traditionally are smaller, height-wise people, but this kid looks like he's just coming out of junior high.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, so that's for the younger people that don't remember the beginning of Jeff Gordon. Put a mustache on Ty Gibbs, and you got Jeff Gordon when he started.
I think this Gibbs kid, I think he's got some talent, man. I think he's got some talent.
I agree.
He's
I
got
agree.
some money. He's definitely got some money behind him. He's definitely. Here's another point I just sort of thought about. Talking about Las Vegas racers. We know that we know that Riley Herbst signed on to stay with Stuart Haas Racing. The Xfinity program had a good run last year. Stuart Haas then brings in Noah Gragson to run that Cup car, that number 10 car. And I was just sort of thinking about this. Two Las Vegas kids, young men. I shouldn't call them kids anymore. Young men are teamed up together. Same garages and everything else, because but I just thought it was pretty unique that those two kids, young men now, growing up now, that I watched Noah and Riley all run, go-karts, legend cars, into super late model stuff and everything else. And it's pretty wild that the two young men from Las Vegas ended up at the same team working together. I just think that was really cool that ended up happening.
That should help them both out too. It's funny too, because as you talk about them and you think about the Bushes and Brandon Gaughan, and those are just names I can think of off the top of my head. You don't really think of Las Vegas as a race hub, like you do the New Hampshire area and the North Carolina area, and I mean even our area, a little bit, but like I said, you don't think of Las Vegas as a racing hub. A lot of really good race car drivers have come out of Las Vegas.
This kid Jesse Love, that Childress hired to drive his Xfinity car, replacing Sheldon Creed this year. Not from here, but spent a lot of time here. Put a lot of laps in at the Bull Ring and says, watch out for this kid. Has got some talent too. Jesse Love going to be in Richard Childress' Xfinity car. He's a kid that's replacing Sheldon Creed. So some really good talent. And it's good to see. I mean, the Bush brothers definitely made their name here. They definitely did, but it's good to see some other talent coming up out of Las Vegas in this area.
Sure.
So, and I just thought it was so unique that I was looking at some picture scratch, and I've got a picture taken with Noah and me and Riley and Chris Trickle and a bunch of us, and to see them as young men growing up, young kids growing up into young men, and now that both of them from the Vegas area. Both of them from the Vegas area, now at the same team, racing with the same team and same owners. I just thought it was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that is. It is pretty awesome to see. And there is a lot of good talent coming up out there that it's going to be exciting to see. Again, now that we've got one race down, regardless of what we talked about and what we've seen and what other people are talking about, and whether or not the Clash should be in Daytona or not, it doesn't matter to me right this minute, because all I know is I got some good racing coming up. My favorite time of the year here at Daytona, which is Speed Weeks. In my lifetime, all right, and no employer wants to hear this, but this is how fun and how awesome this is, right? And not in my lifetime have I ever taken a job that told me I couldn't have off for Speed Weeks. Now, fortunately, I own my own business now, Nut Shack Entertainment. I do all entertainment stuff now. It's really fun. But like back in the day when I had some hard jobs or would go from job to job, work from paycheck to paycheck, things like that, I would go in the first day when they would interview me, and I'd be like, all right, let me explain something. I have a reserve spot in the infield for the entire week for Speed Weeks. I'm not going to be here. Is that going to be a problem? And if it was, I wouldn't work there.
Yeah,
that's how much I love going.
Hey, listen, I came from the hunting area, man, in the southern part. Grew up in southern part of Ohio, North Carolina area, and listen, when it came deer season and buck season, everybody had buck fever. That is especially because you could get out certain areas, you could hunt some along with a bow, but then shotgun came in and this and that. Boy, when that all popped, yep, we got a fever this week. Going to be buck fever this week. That's where it's going to be.
That's right. Yeah, I'd be sick. I'd be sick. I don't care. I'm going to the races. It's just what I do.
Well, you do have Speed Week coming up. The ARCA Series is coming to town. You got that getting ready to wrap up. Then getting ready not to wrap up, to get started and rolled. They had qualifying and practice sessions and things out there for that. But Friday, February 16th, really kicks it in for you. Scratch 7:30 p.m. for the Fresh from Florida 250 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is back in action, beating and banging Daytona.
Yeah, and you and I will be talking from the Turn 3 Tiki Bar located in Turn 4. Don't ask. We moved.
You moved? Okay.
We moved. That's it. But yeah, the Turn 3 Tiki Bar, man, I'll be live from the infield. I'm going in I'm going in Tuesday or Wednesday night and get everything all set up, and then I'll be in there for the duels on Thursday. And like I said, I'll probably doing some Facebook Live stuff, some stuff live on my Nut Shack Entertainment Radio. You can catch that at nutshackentertainment.com. So I'll probably be doing some live stuff in there as well. Just more so for me though, it's gonna be more so about covering the party and some of the stuff going on in the infield. Then of course I'll join you on Friday like I do every Friday. We're gonna kick off about a half an hour before the Craftsman truck race in there, so they're gonna get a good idea of what it's like at the Tiki Bar over there in Turn 4, and right about 30 minutes we're leading right up to the truck race. So I'm excited. I'm excited. All my people in my camping spot, the Tiki Bar fellas, they're all excited, man, to just be a small part of what you and I do.
There you go. Well, it does kick all off, man, with the regular season, the 15th, because you've got the duels going for you, 7 p.m. They'll air it up on the television. The Blue Green Vacations duels 1 and 2, and of course, truck racing on the 16th, the 17th. The Xfinity Series is back at Daytona International Speedway. United Reynolds 300, and of course, Sunday, the granddaddy of them all. That's right, the Daytona 500 with a 2:30 p.m. East Coast time starting it out, and we'll get you covered up all the way around. So also, man, all kinds of other great racing coming back in action. Of course, NHRA is going to be coming down your way, Scratch. You're going to be in Gainesville for the Gator Nationals, March 7th through the 10th. Okay, IndyCar's back in action March 10th. They go into St. Petersburg, so you got 2 big series in there. F1 is back in action coming up March 2nd. And man, World of Outlaws, they're rocking and rolling. In fact, the NOS Energy Series gets started up coming up this weekend. So racing is back for the 2024 season. We'll keep you covered up. Scratch and I do it each and every Monday right here from 4 to 5. That's right. Let's see, Mondays and Fridays from 4 to 5. And then Diane and I here on Wednesday afternoons for you from 4 to 6 p.m. So Michael D. Orlando going to be our guest, and a little surprise from the Xfinity Series, a new kid coming up, and we'll make all the announcements coming up here. So we'll have that. Hey, any final words before I say howdy, and call for Mr. John?
Hey, man, I'm just excited for Speed Weeks coming up here in Daytona, and I'm going to be very happy to bring to you guys what goes on here in Daytona. It's going to be a fun time, man. Speed Weeks are always great here in Daytona. It is the coolest race of the year. And I hear the infield party is only second. I would disagree, but is only second to Talladega. So if you've been to a Talladega race in the infield and haven't been to Daytona, then you're going to definitely want to check me out. That Friday, what date is that? The 15th, the 16th?
Yeah,
the
you got there 15th, 16th, 17th. You got it in, and I got my book out, man. It's got all the Daytona. Look at that. I got my official Rob Street NASCAR book he gave to me. It's got everything about Daytona in here. So it's got a big section.
Ask me a question. Dig a random question out of there right now.
Oh, let me see here.
I can't. I won't be able to. It don't matter which one you ask.
All right. Okay.
I'll try though.
Let me see here. Let me see
don't go
here.
back to the 60s or nothing, but if you're like in the mid 70s up, I'm probably good.
Well, let me see here. Let me see. Notes. Yeah.
I mean, I know I put you on the spot here, but
that's okay. Hold on a quick second here. Let me see where we're at.
I believe in you. I believe in you, Alan Michaels.
Daytona here. Let me see here. Alrighty. Well, not just necessarily Daytona. Oh no. Well, let me go. No. Okay. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
In what year did NASCAR's rules go to an effect to eliminate the Chrysler Hemi engine and the Plymouth and Dodge models? Started in Daytona. What year?
Well, that's earlier. I mean, that's a more close than now question. Isn't it? Am I wrong?
Take a shot. Take a shot. We got about a minute left of time, so take a shot.
All right. I'm going to go with 2003.
Absolutely. So far off, you're unbelievable. In 1965, NASCAR rules go into effect to eliminate the Chrysler Hemi engine and the Plymouth and Dodge models that were raced in the 1964 banks of Daytona International Speedway, my friend. All right.
I was just thinking about the newer Dodges. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that they hated Dodge back then.
Yeah, and see, but then they tried to reinvent it. Gene Woods and Ray Abraham tried to bring the Dodge back in and started with the old Winston West series in the 80s, but it didn't last. But, and they couldn't use the Hemi back then either. So that's it. Hey, listen, we're running out of time here, my friend. Real quickly, where they can find you social media-wise.
Check me out at, you can check out my Nut Shack Entertainment page. That's where I'm going to be putting a lot of the broadcasting stuff and a lot of my shows. Pretty much everything I do will be right there. Or you can look up my comedy page, Scratch with a K, and that is at Scratch Comedy. So check that out, man. Check out my website, NutShackEntertainment.com, where you can check out Nut Shack Entertainment Radio live streaming right there.
Back at you on Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Diane will be in the studios with us. We'll have all the racing news and updates and get you set. And then, of course, Speedway's coming up. Scratch will join us back next Friday, 4 p.m. right here at the WCOV. My friend, have yourself a great stuff. And it's, I believe, shall we call for John? Shall we call for him?
Hey, John.
Scratch with a K down at Daytona. Alan here in Las Vegas. Want to thank you for joining us today. Diana will be back next week. Actually, this week, Wednesday, 4 to 6. Scratch joins me coming up Friday. Want to thank everybody out there. Have yourself a great week. Be safe, be careful. If you're coming to Vegas, bring the rain gear.
Thanks for joining us for On Pit Road Racing. Follow us on our website, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at On Pit Road Racing. On Pit Road Racing is written and produced by WCOBN TV. I'm John the Announcer for On Pit Road Racing.